Wrong button.
There goes the intro music.
Longest intro ever. The Big Play Reflog Show is brought to you by ShackNews.com. Shack News, your go-to for gaming news, covers all your gaming content needs. While you're there, check out their exclusive interview with Iron Mike Tyson. Very, very cool video interview there, as well as their featured article on COVID-19's long-term effects on video game development. Very interesting stuff over there. Remember, Shack News, your go-to site during the quarantine for video game content and live streams. Go check out the site, shacknews.com, while you're sitting around and catch up on all that is gaming. Check them out on Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch, shacknews.com.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kinzer from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz. You're listening to the best podcast on the air, Boom Shakalaka.
Okay, do you need medical attention?
Yeah.
What is wrong?
I don't know. I ain't no goddamn doctor.
Free Shakalaka. Reflog. It's just go for backward. Boom Shakalaka.
Welcome to the Big Play Reflog Show. Today is Monday, May 18th, 2020. Hope everyone's doing well. I am your host, Big Play Dave, alongside my main man, Mr. Chris McNeil. Hello, sir.
I got a haircut, Dave. I'm feeling good, man.
Look at you. Looking spiffy for our
Day
Indians
one on
guy.
Friday, I went and got the old ears lowered.
Well done, well done. And we have a familiar face, if you watched the show a year and a half ago. The one and only Dollar Dog Sports. What's up, Nick? How are you, sir?
Doing good, Dave. Thanks.
Excellent. Appreciate you coming on the show. All right, so we have a fantastic show for you guys tonight. So tonight on the big, and for some reason, Nick, you were just gigantic in that shot. So I'm going to adjust that on the fly. But let's get into it. So Power Rank Monday, we are going with favorite documentaries of all time. Top 3, Power Rank Monday. We will then get into our featured interview with Cleveland Indians infielder, utility man. He can do it all. He can pitch. Mike Freeman joining the show. Pumped to talk to him and figure out what the hell's going on with baseball once we finally get some baseball here. After that, we will talk Cleveland headlines, Baker getting some work done in Texas, Jarvis mentoring Donovan Peoples-Jones, our new wide receiver. Proof that the Steelers are a dirty organization. Ooh, teaser there. And then we had Myles Garrett and OBJ talking on Twitter today. That was hilarious. We'll hit you with a couple Would You Rathers and give you our bold predictions for the week. But let's kick things off with a little Power Rank Monday.
It's time for Power Rank Monday.
All right, so the final 2 episodes of The Last Dance came out yesterday. In honor of this 10-part documentary, we are going to power rank our favorite documentaries of all time. Doesn't have to be sports related, can be whatever the heck you guys want. Nick, let's put you on the spot and have you go with your top 3 all-time documentaries.
Alrighty. The first one, it's not a specific one, but conspiracy theory documentaries.
In general?
In general. I'm not quite to Kyrie Irving levels, but it's just kind of cool to see all the people and the way they talk about them and everything. Like the 9/11 ones, the moon landing, any of them.
Do you believe in lizard people?
I do not. Hard-hitting question.
Ancient Aliens.
Yes.
Are you all over that show?
I actually haven't seen it.
What?
Come on.
Oh, that seems like a primer. Like that's where you start for all this stuff. That's the jumping off point. You haven't seen that show?
No, so maybe you've outed me as a fraud already with my number 3.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. What's your number 2?
Number 2, Firefest, the Firefest documentary that came out a year or 2 ago. I don't know if you guys saw it with that.
What a shit show.
Guy, and he was, just a con artist. And he just found all these different ways to rack up money, and he made his own credit cards that were just stamped metal. Just bizarre things after bizarre things. And then Ja Rule came into it. And it just was a train wreck, but it was something good to watch. But
weren't people stuck on that island? Like, and there was no festival.
Yeah.
It was just like them sleeping on the beach and like porta potties or like.
Yeah, and they knew ahead of time that it wasn't going to go down. Obviously, they didn't have any of the bands booked or anything else, and they still let all those poor people fly all the way out to this island.
Did he go to jail for that?
Yeah, I don't know if I think he's still in jail. It's McFarland, I think was his name.
Okay.
Interesting. But I don't think Ja Rule got in any trouble.
How could Ja Rule get in
that
trouble?
sounds really horrible for people at the time, but now, like, hey, we're going to fly you out to just an island out in the middle of nowhere and you sleep on a beach. It's like, holy crap, adventure. I haven't left the house in days,
Yeah.
I mean, post-COVID, that sounds like a lot of fun. Maybe you're getting screwed before COVID, but now it's like, hey, I'd pay for that.
Nick, what's your number 1?
All right, number 1. Super Size Me. Might have been the first documentary I really saw, now that I'm thinking of it. But it was such a bizarre premise that this guy just went and binge ate McDonald's for 30 days to see how bad it was for you. And I was looking at it before I came on today, and I think they said he gained 24 pounds in 30 days. It's
impressive.
That is impressive.
I was talking before the show. I loved that one when it came out. I thought it was pretty groundbreaking. I just tried to watch it again for this last week, and I was amazed. I couldn't get through it. Like when he's going into the doctor and they're doing all the initial tests and telling him, you really shouldn't do this, but if you want to. So I couldn't even get through that. I couldn't even get him to the first McDonald's. I don't know whether it's just those type of documentaries have become more, out there. So they don't interest me like they did before, but it didn't hold my interest. I was surprised.
I mean, that's back in the day when Netflix didn't even have original stuff. If it was even out at all. So yeah, there probably wasn't a whole lot out there except for Michael Moore.
Right.
Yeah.
Chris, what were yours?
So my number 3.
Wait for it. Hold
Ding.
on. No, hold on. I got it. Wait for it. Got it.
It's interesting you mentioned Michael Moore because I had Fahrenheit 9/11 down here, but I didn't want to go political, but I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially that scene with Bush where he gets up there and he says, "We will hunt down these terrorists wherever they are." Now watch me hit this drive. And I thought that was just so great. That just encapsulates so much. That was just such a great scene. I just love that from that. But the other one that I caught here a week and a half ago or so, The Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. Have you guys seen this one?
What?
It's all about a family. It's the family's last name is White. And this family down in West Virginia, they just don't give a F about anything. And they literally don't. And they're kind of a scourge on everybody. They just get into trouble right and left, drugs, booze, whatever. They inherited some money because their grandfather or their great-grandfather of the family was like a dancer and like country dancing. And they had a little bit of scratch. And now they all live off the government and they're pretty proud about it. And they just do their thing. And it's kind of a sad documentary, but it's completely like watching a train wreck and it's in slow motion.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it was on Prime. I don't know if they took it off yet or not, but if you do, it's worth it if you're bored. My number 2.
That I am.
Go ahead.
Number 2. I don't know if NFL Films counts as documentaries, but I say it does. Marathon by the Lake. If you guys recall, that's the one that was the tale of the 1986 Cleveland Browns against the Jets, the game I talk about all the time, the 2 OT thriller where the Browns overtook the Jets early in 1987 to go on to the next round. That is the NFL Films documentary on that, and it's just fantastic. And I just love all the NFL films are just so fantastic, Steve Sable and everyone. And they did such a great job with that. I could watch any of them. I could even watch The Drive, The Fumble. I'll watch those just to have my heart ripped out again, just because they're so well done. I love those documentaries.
Why not?
And then on a higher note, my number 1, Believe Land, and especially with the extra edit, right? Because they released Believe Land to kind of show, Cleveland's have been a heartbreak city, the whole 9 yards. Well, then what happened? A couple of months later, the Cavs won the championship, so they added on to that bad boy, really brought it home. I thought it was well done. My buddy Scott Rabb, who we'll have to have on the show sometime, wrote The Whore of Akron and was in that just repeatedly, and he did a good job of kind of painting the picture of what Cleveland was like and him growing up and things. And I just thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, that was really good. My number 3, and then we're going to get into our interview here. So number 3, I put The Last Dance on there.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Last Dance, but that's okay.
I'm at 7 episodes through. I heard it kind of drags out, so I went with the peak. It's made the top 3, peaked at 7.
Recency bias. Very good.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Whenever there's an iconic guy like Michael Jordan in documentary, Chris, it's making the list. Number 2 is not actually a documentary, so I'm off to a great start here. But it's like one of those based on real events. Waco.
Yeah.
Have you seen this on Netflix?
I saw the original made-for-TV movie back in the day, right after it. I don't know if this is the same thing. It's probably a remake of the remake.
No,
but
this is maybe a couple years ago.
Okay.
I don't know.
It still fascinates me.
It's incredibly well done. Really, really good acting in it. Go check it out if you haven't. Especially like I remember Waco, but I don't remember like any of the details from it, from like the news, and how long that it spanned out. It's insane. So number 2, Waco, and number 1, got to go with another iconic guy, OJ. The OJ trials. Do you remember that documentary?
I didn't see that one either, but I did see plenty of the OJ trials back in the day.
So yes, very iconic. The OJ trials. Check that one out as well.
My new friend, who I met at Comic-Con just before COVID shut down.
That's
Kato
right.
Kalin.
Yes.
Kato Kalin, right? That's my new dream, is to have him sleep on my couch sometime. So we're going to make that happen.
Let's do it, and let's welcome in our featured interview of the week. Get off OJ here. So he is the Cleveland Indians utility infielder. Had a heck of a season last year for our tribe, and we are going to catch up with him on all that is baseball. Mike Freeman. Mike, welcome to the Big Play Reflog Show, man. How are you?
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Mike. Are we ever going to play baseball? We're sitting here in the studio.
I think we are.
Yeah. What have you heard? What's going on?
Yeah, I don't have any juicy details, but based on the talks around, I think it's becoming a lot more positive. Scenarios are becoming more optimistic. There's obviously stuff that still needs to be hashed out, but I think there's some excitement brewing, and hopefully we get going here in the next month or so.
So are you guys kind of in the know before us, like when it breaks on Twitter, like the plans and stuff like that? What's the craziest plan you've kind of heard for this season?
It seems some of these reporters have pretty good sources because they seem to be in the know, right about as soon as we are. But I think the Arizona plan, where all 30 teams were to be in Arizona, that seemed like that was the first one that kind of got floated out there and seemed like the most extreme and unlikely to take place. But there's even the latest proposal. There's some things in there that are going to be pretty hard to see happening.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, rewind to last year. You had a great year with the tribe here. It was kind of cool to see you. You've been in the MLB for almost a decade now, and to see you kind of thrive here with this team. How are you kind of staying ready with this layoff that we've seen?
Yeah, I'm fortunate. I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, and there's a minor league affiliate here, and their general manager kind of made it available to some of us to come and work out. So, practicing, proper social distancing and all those protocols, we're able to hit and throw and have a place to work out to kind of keep our bodies in shape. So it's got a feel of like a normal off-season routine, but at the same time, we know our spring training this go around is going to be a little bit shorter. So we're kind of having to go about it a little bit differently than we would a typical off-season.
Who's in your posse down there, Mike? Who are you working out with?
So there's one guy, a younger guy who went to Clemson, Eli White. He's with the Rangers. I see him contributing with their team this year. Some names that you might know: Daniel Bard. He was with the Red Sox most recently in the big leagues. Heath Embry is with the Red Sox currently. And there's some younger guys that are working out with us. David Hess with the Orioles, a pitcher. So we got a good crew, good mix of young guys, kind of veteran guys with experience. So, you kind of get a little bit of camaraderie, like clubhouse type feel, just hanging with the guys, which has been crucial during quarantine, just to be able to kind of get out and have a little bit of the normalcy that we're used to this time of year.
Hey, Mike, speaking of that camaraderie you usually get with your teammates, how much contact have you had with Tito and all the other Indians players?
We've stayed, pretty well connected. We have a group chat with the players that is pretty active, especially as things kind of break. And, we have a couple different guys who are our player reps that kind of keep us filled in on information. And then as far as, ideas and stuff float around, we talk to keeping in touch with guys on, kind of sidebar chats as far as, whether it's just checking in with family, seeing how everyone's doing, or, hey, what can we do when we get together to, make sure we're ready to go and, kind of build some chemistry. And so that kind of stuff is going on. And, I think a lot of guys are spending, really focusing on spending time with their families right now. It's yeah, that's kind of the silver lining in all this is it's, pretty rare for us to get to spend this much time with our families. So we're staying in touch, but, I think we're taking advantage of the extra time with our families as well.
Do you guys do any of those annoying like Zoom calls with your teammates?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah?
We've done a few, and it's honestly, when for us, if people like have kind of regular jobs, they have stuff like a routine they're in. Our routine this time of year is typically a lot different. So sometimes it's nice to, have something on the schedule for Thursday at 3:00. Even if it's a Zoom call with the guys, and you still get some of the good locker room banter on the Zoom call, which is fun to kind of get back into. But yeah, I mean, they can kind of get monotonous, I suppose. But for us, I think, just to see the guys and sort of get a feel and kind of build on some of the relationships we've had in the past, it's good to do every now and then.
Who are the biggest clowns on the Zoom calls? The guys who are trying to keep it light and giving you the most hell?
Oh man, Roberto, he's a good one. Fran Mill, obviously, he's a loud personality. Those two are the first ones that come to mind, which I don't think it's too hard to understand if you spent much time seeing them on camera or anything.
And then, Mike, another thing, we've been talking about all the different plans that the MLB's come up with, and it seems like the one common denominator is that there will be no fans. How do you think that will affect the game? Is that a huge part of the game for you guys, or is that not really a big difference? And I know if you're playing in Miami, it's probably not much of a difference.
Oh,
right. There are stadiums where it's more of a factor than others, of course. But it is a big deal. I think, especially the talk amongst, our team, we really enjoy playing for the fans in Cleveland. We feel like they're good baseball fans as far as being educated about what's going on. And there's a lot of times that, they kind of add some adrenaline to us. And, kind of what I've said is it's going to be weird. Those dog days, or you're down by 2-3 runs in the 7th inning. And if you're at your home park, those fans, you grind out at a bat and get a hit to lead off an inning that ignites the crowd. And, that next guy has a little more adrenaline going up to bat. So it'll be weird to not have that going on. And then, also on the flip side, there's some stadiums you play it on the road where the fans play a huge part. And I think, Cleveland is one of those stadiums for opposing teams. And, to not have that added pressure of fans getting on you is something that could benefit road teams depending on the stadium.
Yeah. And speaking of that, of all the different stadiums and cities and everything, I know you're a pretty well-traveled guy. You're on your 5th MLB team. Obviously, everyone has to win. How many different cities do you think you've actually played in over your last 10 years?
Oh, man. I mean, but yeah, I think, if you counted all the minor league cities, it'd be too many to count, obviously. I think I think there's a couple big league cities I've yet to go to. I know San Francisco I haven't been to, which is a lot of people's favorite, and Colorado. I think those might be the only two, but those are two that I've always heard a lot of good things about, cool cities and all that. So hopefully one of these days when, a normal travel schedule gets back into place. Obviously, those are National League teams, but those would be two that would be fun to play at.
So, Mike, what's it like? What's the mentality of a utility player on a major league ball club? What is your mentality where you may not necessarily know where you're going to be playing from night to night? I know Tito wants you to be able to play everywhere, all as utility men, shortstop, anywhere on the field. What's that like for you? What do you have to do to process that and then be effective night in, night out when you're called upon?
Yeah, I think it's something that's, sort of evolved for me over the years, just sort of understanding what works for me and kind of taking hold of what that role is and and understanding where there's value in it for a team. It's easy to look at the roster, look at the stat sheet, and see where a utility guy might not, create a whole lot of value for a team. But, there's a lot of ways that I've learned, especially last year, where I can create value to the team in forms of wins that doesn't necessarily show up on a stat sheet or on the back of my baseball card. And I think that's helped me kind of flourish in that role last year, is because it kind of takes a little bit of added pressure when the opportunities aren't as frequent on the field. And so I think kind of removing some of that added pressure in my way of thinking through the game and preparation, it kind of helps me to relax and have success when those opportunities do come. And so just kind of evolving through that mental grind and winning that battle has helped me certainly last year. And I think Tito does a really good job of helping guys do that. He kind of fills you with confidence even when you're not playing, and just lets you go out there and play and puts a lot of trust in you, which helps you to play better.
Speaking of Tito, we don't have sports obviously right now, so a lot of people are talking about The Last Dance. Did you happen to catch that, first of all, at all?
I did, yeah. I think it was an outstanding documentary to get some behind the scenes mentality of one of the greatest athletes of all time.
What's it like now? So you've got a coach in Tito who has coached Michael Jordan, and he's also coached you. Isn't that kind of a weird thing to think about?
Yeah, it is. It is. I haven't really thought of it that way. Obviously, I saw Tito and Barney's interview on the documentary, and I've talked to them. It's funny to hear them tell stories about those times coaching Jordan, and just, what a treat for those guys to coach somebody like that. Obviously his athletic talent, but just the way he competes and goes about his business is something that I think anyone can learn from.
What do you think? Is there a big difference, in your opinion, between the makeup of a successful basketball team and the makeup of a successful baseball team? Because you look at Michael Jordan, just one of these gregarious guys, and they went through the whole roster and kind of the different roles that those guys have got. But I imagine it's just a little bit of a different makeup between what a guy could do in basketball versus the type of leadership you need in baseball. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think there is. I feel like the athletes in basketball have a lot more direct control on the outcome of the game, whereas baseball, obviously there's more people playing, but there's somebody else throwing the pitch for you to hit. Whereas basketball, when you have the ball, you basically you direct the offense. You dictate if you're going to drive to the hole, if you're going to stop and take the shot, or dish it out and pass. So in that regard, it is a lot different as far as the way the games are played, because I would say, like, you have someone like Francisco Lindor who would be our Michael Jordan as he was to the Bulls, and MJ can score 45 points, but Frankie's not gonna hit 2 home runs every game or something like that. So I think you kind of lean more on the team mentality, I think, in baseball. At the same time, it's interesting to hear them talk about roles on that team. And, I love the interview of Steve Kerr. It's like, I kind of saw myself in Steve Kerr as he was kind of delegating out his role and talking about how he has to understand what Jordan likes and what he has to do to make him better. And, I think, those role players, the best ones, kind of take on that selfless mentality to help the team win. And you got to have guys like that. And so I think there is some similarities as far as that goes as well.
Mike, are we going to see a pitch this year?
Shoot, I hope not. If I'm pitching, that's not a good sign for our ball club, especially if rosters are going to be expanded. I hope we got enough innings to cover. But it's definitely interesting when you get out there. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, so what was that like? Like, did you, how much prep did you have going into that last year?
I mean, zero prep. It's kind of one of those. I happen to be playing. You're not going to put Lindor or Ramirez or Santana out there to pitch, and so it's one of those. I think, and I think Tito understands. Like, he trusts me. I'm going to throw strikes. I'm not going to do anything crazy that's going to hurt myself. It's just one of those. Hey, let's try and save a couple innings from our bullpen. He comes up, and as the game's going, when we're behind a lot, I'm already thinking that. Like, I know that's kind of one of those tools that's in my belt. If the situation comes up, I'm the guy that's gonna try and eat innings. And so he comes up. I happened to throw 2 innings last year. He came up maybe an inning earlier than I thought. But it's one of those, hey, can you do it? I was like, yeah, I can do it. Are you sure? Like, yeah, I promise. Like, don't hurt yourself. He's like, I'll be good. And so it's just go in there and play catch.
That's awesome.
What are your pitches? By the way? What can you top out at too?
Well, that's the thing. I even if I tried to top out, I wouldn't be lighting up any guns, which is why I go with the below the hitting speed approach. But since you asked, my pitch is it's a fastball. Believe it or not, it's more of a slow ball, but I throw a curveball that's very below average, a slider that I don't know how to throw, and then my changeup is my fastball with like a little bit off
an EFOS pitch.
The heater. Yeah. It's nothing. I leave a lot to be desired on the mound. That's for sure.
You leave it all out there, though. That's the important part. You leave it all out there on the mound.
There you go. Yeah, I'm gonna try and get you out with my 65. I don't want you to hit it. I'm gonna try and trick you, but it ain't gonna be pretty.
The floater. That's right, guys. We're chatting with Mike Freeman. Go follow him on Twitter. Everyone out there in Cleveland at MikeBFree5. Mike, before we get you out of here, anything you want to plug or anything you want to say to the Cleveland Indians fans here in quarantine watching the show?
Yeah, I mean, it's disheartening to think about playing baseball without the Indians fans. I had such a good time. I think I connected well with the Indians fans last year. I think they appreciated the way I went about my business and played the game, and for them not to be in the stands, I've been kind of racking my brain as far as how I can kind of connect with fans this year if they're not in the stands, and kind of get creative in that way. And so I think social media is going to be something that we can kind of get creative to connect with fans and still make them kind of be a part of our season, and let them know that even though they're not in the stands, we can feel them and we know the support. And so I think if anyone reaches out, I love kind of having conversations on social media and messages, and if there's stuff that we can do, reach out and we'll see if we can make it happen. I think this year especially, we're going to have to try and be a little more creative because we know how much the fans mean to us, and we want to make sure that they feel it too.
Love it. All right, last one. Better football program, Clemson or Ohio State?
Ooh.
Oh, come on.
Ooh.
Come on.
Just leading them right in. Okay.
You're putting me on the spot in Buckeye Nation. I do have a degree from Clemson, and it's gonna upset some people, but I'm gonna go Clemson. I mean, and I'm only gonna say that because we've got the wins the last few meetings. So until that changes, I'm just gonna go with the results right now.
That's right. Stick to your guns. I like it, Mike. We greatly appreciate the time. We'll be cheered for you this season once that eventually comes around. And looking forward to having you as even more of a household name here in Cleveland.
Thanks a lot. It was great talking to you guys.
Yeah, you as well.
You too. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Have a good one.
You too. Mike Freeman, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let me make sure that I close out of the actual chat so we don't keep the guest on this time. Yeah.
hold them over for another segment so we can listen to headlines.
That's right. Good stuff from Mike Freeman. Appreciate the time, man. That was great.
What a great guy, huh?
Yeah, super laid back. He just seemed like one of the co-hosts on that show. That was good.
That he seems like the definition of a clubhouse guy, right? When you think
Yes.
clubhouse guy, that's the clubhouse.
Remember like
guy,
Brandon
right?
Geyer?
Yeah, good guy. Good guy. Mike
always
Freeman.
always willing to get hit by a pitch.
Right.
Brandon Geyer.
Right.
But yeah, great
Yes,
stuff. Go
great guy.
give Mike a follow, and we're rooting for him as we head into this season. Let's move into some Cleveland headlines.
Cleveland Clothing Company is the go-to place for all of your Cleveland sports apparel, and it is now even easier to get your hands on any one of their products with the reopening of their stores. Welcome back. You can visit them downtown on East 4th, the Summit Mall in Akron, in Shaker Heights, or by the Big Play Studio right here in Crocker Park. As always, check them out online at clevelandclothingco.com. Remember to use our promo code Dave, BigPlay20, so you can get that 20% off your purchase.
That is right. My Mark Price shirt is coming, I think, this week. Can't wait.
Oh, I got to get one.
Oh,
I
yeah.
got to get one. Yeah.
I ordered it right away. I was like,
Solid.
where is it? Where is it? And I was like, oh, no, it's a pre-order.
Yeah, because everything was shut down.
That's right. So, yeah, go check them out. All right, Baker Mayfield spent this week training with a couple Browns players and tight ends here. We had Austin Hooper, Njoku, Rashard Higgins, Damian Ratley. They all went to Baker's hometown of Austin, Texas to work out together. Nick, what do you think Colin Cowherd would say about that?
Yeah, he can take a couple angles at this. The obvious one's the pandemic, but I could see him pulling up the fact that no OBJ, no Jarvis Landry showed up.
No invite.
I could see him harping on that.
Baker, just
'Cause
being
then he
selfish.
gets a double whammy because he hates OBJ. Yeah, probably didn't even invite him.
Yeah. Baker's playing favorites. You don't like to see that in the off season. You want to see a guy who brings everybody into the picture. What's going to happen on 3rd and long? Who's he going to be looking at? Now he's got a ring of buddies, and he's not connecting to a star player. I'll tell you.
And he gave them all COVID-19. What
That's
a
right.
jerk. So on a similar note, Jarvis Landry, he's reportedly been working out with rookie Donovan Peoples-Jones down in Fort Lauderdale. Chris, do these off-season training sessions mean anything to you? You know, good sign, don't look much into it. What say
I hope
you?
they're working out, right? I would hope that the players in the offseason
They're playing video
are taking it
games.
upon themselves to work out to a certain level because they are professionals. Now, the fact that they're working out together, that does make me feel a little bit better because we all like to think that these guys are good teammates and they'll work well together. So I guess yes, but it doesn't go that far for me. It really doesn't. It's like, okay, well, that's kind of what you're supposed to be in this day and age. You know, we could travel. Obviously, right now with COVID, it's a lot more difficult. But we could travel, so these guys should be working out together. So I see that as more the expectation rather than really exceeding and getting me excited at, in 2020.
That's fair. But it's
not
kind of
like
nice.
these guys are selling insurance in the off season.
No, but it's
like,
kind of
no,
nice.
I can't get away.
Having Jarvis actually, reaching out and mentoring the young guy.
Yeah, they're working out with a young guy.
Right,
So we
yeah,
always
they're
say they're mentoring.
Teammates.
We always I understand that. And we always layer on everything that they're doing. Who cares? Who cares? Just, get your work in. I care about what they're going to be doing on Sundays, hopefully on Sundays. So I've been through this so many times, so much of the rigmarole of, what are we doing in the offseason? Who's missing OTAs? Who's making OTAs? Who's giving the extra effort? Who's not giving the extra effort? Who's working? It's like, who cares? It doesn't matter after we play the first game. Nobody remembers any of it. So, we have nothing else to talk about. So God bless us. This is what we're talking about.
Actually, Chris.
Your question was, does it make you very exciting? A little bit, I guess.
There we go. We got a little bit of excitement out of Chris. All right, speaking of no one
Woohoo.
cares, James Harrison came out and hinted that the Steelers coach Mike Tomlin paid him after he delivered a cheap shot to our boy, Mohamed Massaquoi, in 2010. God, that was a long time ago. Surprising to anyone here? Nick, you surprised by this? Maybe that he was stupid
not
enough
at
to
all.
bring it up?
No, I mean, I forgot about the other incident with Tomlin. People were posting the video online of when he tried to trip that guy on the kick return.
Oh,
You guys
yeah.
remember that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he does. It's not like he's some squeaky clean reputation in the league.
Who
Same thing for Harrison.
wasn't it Cribbs as well during that game with Massaquoi? Didn't Harrison take out two guys, or maybe that season?
Was it Colt McCoy?
Oh yeah, he definitely rang Colt McCoy's bell.
Oh wow. I could care less what you guys are talking about right now.
Chris is
I'm
going
looking
on
at
Twitter. Chris is going through his feed on
I
Twitter.
just went on. I'm sorry. I had to go onto Twitter here real quick. And Lily from AT&T liked one of my tweets for the first time ever.
Who's that? Is that the
Lily from AT&T? She's back. She's doing commercials again. She did them like 5 years ago. And I would just constantly just be a goofball during Indians games because they play those commercials every other break.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, there's my girl. And I think she was very close to a restraining order. Well, guess what? She's back. I said, welcome back. And she liked the tweet. So boys, I'm in.
No kidding. Slide into the DMs, Chris.
Melania. There we go.
Power couple.
Me and Lily.
Chris
and Lily,
the AT&T girl.
That's right. You guys are over here talking about who Baker's working out with in the off season. Forget that stuff. I got Lily from AT&T over here.
Are you guys worried about Ben Roethlisberger? He got his beard cut. Apparently now that means that he can throw a football.
No. Forget about Ben Roethlisberger. He's going to be nothing this year. Mark my words, nothing. I could care less about that man.
Yes.
He went to the right school in college.
Yes,
Past
he did.
that, he's been nothing but trouble, and I am done with him.
He was a douche at Miami anyway. All right, NFL teams are allowed to partially open their facilities tomorrow. Only certain staffers are permitted in. No players or coaches quite yet. We seem to be a step closer to football. Nick, what percentage chance do you give to having kind of an entire season as scheduled here?
NFL is king, so I really want to say 100.
Never say 100.
Saying the second wave and all these other things, so I'll drop it to 80.
Wow.
80% chance. Well, think about how much money it brings in, and it's all the richest people in the country are owning teams. I mean, I would think they're pretty motivated to get this thing going.
You hit on it. I mean, we've got a populist president, and you don't get any more populist in the United States of America than NFL football. That guy wants it to happen. Roger Goodell wants it to happen. A bunch of powerful men want it to happen. A bunch of media companies want it to happen. And I think that it probably will, by sheer will of force, no matter what it's going to end up looking like, whether you have fans in the stands or not. I think it's going to happen somehow. And I think quite honestly, they'll do it even if it's going to run a significant risk to the public. I really do. They think that they would be willing to make that sacrifice. I hope not. I hope we're not at that point. But I think the NFL is just a machine that's going to keep plugging. They're a freight train that's not going to be slowed down.
Yeah.
College football is probably the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
College, you get into a lot more problems because college the football program is linked to the academics as of now,
right.
if only in structure. So if they don't have school, they will not have athletics as it's structured right now. So they'd have to do some finagling to make that happen.
Good point.
And there's also travel and things like that. There's a lot more, nuance when you get into college, whereas the NFL can kind of make things happen the way that they want it to. And like I said, they've got people at the very, very top who want to see it happen. So I think it will happen.
All right, so the NBA hasn't played a game in over 2 months. We're still talking about finishing the season. Conference finals were supposed to be this week. Larry Nance
I miss Colin Sexton. Are you guys
the
missing
young
Colin
bull?
Sexton?
The young bull.
That's it.
Darius Garland.
Everybody.
Come on, here we go. But Larry Nance Jr. came out. He has Crohn's disease. Everyone kind of knows about that. He's a big advocate of supporting fundraisers for that and things of that nature. But he came out and said players with compromised immune systems or pre-existing conditions should be excused from playing if the season restarts this year, especially like the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, there's no point in it. Do you
that's
think
negative?
No, come on. Oh yeah. JB Bickerstaff really needs to mesh with these guys for like 10 games. That's gonna make a huge difference. Do you think we should just scrap
new
this?
attitude, Dave?
I think
New
we
coach,
scrap it.
New attitude.
So, Chris, you want the NBA season back, don't you?
I don't. There's what's going to happen? We're going to watch LeBron win it? I mean, okay.
Yeah.
I don't. That doesn't excite me. It really
No.
doesn't at this point. Actually, I would be more pumped to see NHL come back because I'd like to see the Blue Jackets in and actually have a chance. If the NBA comes back, the Cavs are dead in the water, so I'm not that interested in watching the big market teams just play off against each other.
No, if they did come back, would you like to see like a tournament for the 8th seed? Or a tournament for the number 1 pick instead of a lottery? Like, would you like to see him get kind of creative? I think that would be kind of cool.
Seed everybody.
Seed them
Cavs
all.
are in.
Yes.
Let's go.
Put them in.
March Madness.
Young
right?
Bull.
June Madness. Make it happen.
God,
That would be
wouldn't
fun.
Wouldn't that
we
be
didn't
cool?
do any brackets this year.
That's
that
what
would
I'm
be our
saying.
brackets.
Yes,
Yeah.
just do like
I
it.
could dig that.
Yes, all right, good. We're on the same page. Nick, are you in?
I hope they end the season because the Cavs are still the last American team to win the Eastern Conference. Only American team since 2014 because Toronto.
What a stat.
Yeah. That's why I'm here.
Do it for America, baby.
That's right. Let's get to some Would You Rathers. All right, Dollar Dog Sports, I am putting you on the spot here. Would you rather, if you had to play a sport with food poisoning, would you rather it be basketball, baseball, or football?
I feel like it has to be baseball. Yeah.
There you go.
Is that where you're going, Chris?
You
Oh,
have
yeah,
to.
yeah. It's got to be baseball.
What if you have to play like shortstop, though?
You crapping your pants out there at short. I mean, that would be rough. Yeah, I mean,
I don't think there's a
depending
good
upon the
answer.
assignment. Well,
You could
plus,
be a punter.
That's
could
true.
be a punter. Yeah, placeholder.
I don't know if you want to bend over like that.
Oh, Jesus.
Good point. Yeah,
All right.
basketball is brutal, though. Basketball is absolutely brutal, especially if you're Michael Jordan and you're supposed to be the guy and you're sick. That's tough. I don't know if he got food poisoning or whether it was because he was out having a few martinis the night before, which is what I guess it actually was. But nonetheless, for him to be able to play at that level sick, that's pretty impressive. That's why he is who he is.
That is true. Now, did they go into that in more detail since I didn't see that one? I made my
the
power
story they
ranking of
told-
the top 3, but yeah.
Right. Your list of gold. So the story they told was that Michael Jordan got back a little later. Everybody else had eaten. And so he wanted to get takeout. And the hotel had been shut down. There was no food coming up from there. And there's hardly any takeout in town. They finally found one delivery service who'd deliver a pizza. And they said that 5 pizza men showed up to deliver this pizza, which immediately raised eyebrows of like, what is going on? Well, Jordan was like, hey, this is my pizza. Nobody else has eaten any of it because all y'all ate before I did. So I'm getting it all. So he ate it all and apparently got food poisoning, and they kind of blamed it on these 5 kids. Now, I heard this morning the director who put that together said they left out a part. And this is something Michael Jordan used to do. And I thought this was unbelievable. I don't know why they cut it, but it's kind of funny. Is not only did he say, this is my pizza, but then he spit on the pizza and said, now nobody's going to want to touch it when I'm out of the room. And I guess that's not the first time he's done that. Like he would do that to players like, hey, this is mine. And then if he walks out of the room, everybody's like, I'm not touching that. And the director was saying that was one of the other details. So no doubt he probably got the pizza, ate the pizza. I don't know what his mindset was going into eating the pizza, though, whether he'd had a few martinis and whether it was, the munchies at 2 a.m. or whether it was truly what they said and he was just tired and wanted some food and it got him sick.
It's incredible. The one takeaway I will say, because Chris, we grew up kind of not watching Michael Jordan, but like during that era, the one takeaway
How could you not watch Michael Jordan?
I had no idea he was that big of a psychopath.
Oh, I
don't remember that. Like I remember the competition, but yeah, those stories I didn't really recall those before the actual watching of this documentary.
And if they really would have wanted to make this fun, which is nothing ESPN would have done, nothing Nike would have done, or any of the other sponsors, is have his ex-wife on the show
Juanita.
to tell the stories of Michael Jordan. I mean, he was like Spider-Manning outside of hotel rooms. There are plenty of stories out there, alleged stories of Michael Jordan that could be told that were not, because this was carefully branded Michael Jordan in the end. But there's still a lot of stories to be told. But all the stories that I heard in it, I had heard before, and I just heard a little bit more, like him spitting on the pizza.
Yeah.
There were 5 guys who delivered it. The little details I hadn't heard before, but I knew most of the stories.
All right,
Did
Chris.
you remember the whole Dennis Rodman thing where he went and fought with Hulk Hogan the night before?
Oh
the finals?
Yeah, I remember watching.
I remember that. The
I
amazing
remember
part, though, is these days we make such a big deal out of everything. Here in Cleveland we got Odell Beckham, right? Odell Beckham, he does anything. Everybody's trying to read in and read the tea leaves over what's going on, how's it affecting the team. Dennis Rodman went, when they are in the playoffs, and went to wrestle and then came back, and Phil Jackson's like, hey, I don't know why you and the media are making a story out of this. This isn't a story. The guy's back here. He's going to play. And Rodman had done it earlier in the season. We did the whole thing with Carmen Electra. He came back. They did one Indian run and said, oh, he looks like he's good to go. Let's go. But we dissect everything these days. And you look at one of the greatest teams ever, and they just let things like that roll off their back. That's amazing. That's one of the biggest learnings I got of that entire documentary.
If they only had Twitter back then.
Oh, my God, yes.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, I got another would you rather. Chris, I'm going with you. Would you rather be blindsided by James Harrison or attacked by Mason Rudolph with one of your arms tied behind your back?
With both arms behind my back, give me Mason Rudolph. Come on. Who's he scaring?
He might call you a name.
James Harrison scares me. James Harrison does not care. He has nothing to lose. He has said so much when he was on the football field. Now he's off the football field. I think he has even less to lose. So I don't think that guy would shed a tear for killing me. So God, no, I would go with Mason Rudolph.
Rudolph would sue you, though.
That's true.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. And we wouldn't be able to find any audio of anything he would have said.
Bold prediction time.
Covered up.
Bold prediction.
All right, Nick, putting you on the spot. You got a bold prediction for this week.
All right. So this week, there were a bunch of NFL players that got in trouble, and none were Cleveland Browns, which was...
By the
rare,
way,
but-
can we take a second?
We didn't have any offensive tackles get arrested with like 900 pounds of weed.
Kevin Stefanski already doing the job.
So my prediction is for another week, no Browns players make the news for anything
Oh,
negative.
my God. Did you just jinx that?
He just
I
spoke
hope
it
not.
into existence.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, why would you do that?
At least they can't
It
go
would be good.
anywhere.
We have an unwritten rule
Clip.
on this show. You do not talk into existence things that are bad intentionally. And that seems to be intentional there.
God.
Well, when I'm brought back in 2 years, you guys can admonish me.
When was the last time you were on this show? So obviously everyone knows Nick is a show producer for us, but he is behind the scenes. But I remember you were in the studio. I don't remember when it was though.
It had to be like October or November. So it was before basketball season came on.
Okay.
Actually, I remember when we did it, it was a Monday night game with the Bengals and Steelers. So whichever week that was, we could track it down for the archives.
Nice, very cool. You're like Mike Freeman, like you can just step in any instant and just be right back on par. Well done this week, Mike. Well done, Nick. Well done. All right, my bold prediction. I am going with. We're going to keep the player interviews rolling. We're going to have another player on before the end of May here on the show. Don't know which team, don't know which player. We usually book about a day in advance. So we're going to have another player on here on the Big Play Reflux Show. Chris, bold prediction.
Calling your shot. So I'll call my shot, too. The Browns reporting back to Berea tomorrow. They're back in the office. They're back to work. There's going to be a story that comes out of Berea this week that's going to have everybody talking. That's all I will say.
Wow. Now, is this from a DM insider?
This is not from a DM insider.
Is this from the Browns toaster?
From a message. It's from a message. It is not from the Browns toaster. In fact, I'm trying to stay away from the Browns toaster.
Why
I don't want the Browns toaster to be stealing any of my stuff anymore.
Oh, that's
Is it from
true.
Lily?
I want to have it first. Yes. That'll be my bold prediction for next week. Will be something with Lily. I gotta get a little farther.
What?
Down
Too
that road
soon?
first.
Too soon? You don't want baby steps.
Too soon.
You're playing
That's
it
right,
cool.
too
I
soon.
like it.
That's right. We're not announcing or setting a date yet. With the COVID.
With the COVID, good work. Oh, good God. All right. So great show, everyone. Nick, thanks for filling in here. Always awesome having you on the show. Big shout out to Mike Freeman. Go follow him on Twitter. He's gonna get more active on Twitter. So give him a follow at MikeBFree5. And huge shout out to Shaq News, Cleveland Clothing Company. Appreciate the support. Go subscribe on YouTube. Go watch it on Facebook with your parents. Go share it on there. But stick on Twitter. We love you guys. And we will see you guys next Monday at 9 p.m. See you then.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kinzer from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz. You're listening to the best podcast on the air, Boom Shakalaka.
Okay, do you need medical attention?
Yeah.
What is wrong?
I don't know. I ain't no goddamn doctor.
Free Shakalaka.